buddy on the base. Beautiful shed. Starting to question why I'm out here. 200 yards up is a 6-point side.
Popped up over this hill and I couldn't believe what I
saw. Well, we left home last night about a little after 10. Ran into some crummy weather just west of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Had just got into the area here in north central Montana, and I wanted to get into a spot that I could get into quick, just have a couple hours here. Last year I found a real nice 6x7 set down there in that little patch of aspen, so I knew that wasn't too far off the road that I could hit and walk through that. There wasn't much winter sign. So I was up on the opposite hill and up into the next valley I'm headed towards. I spotted looks to be a brown elk shed, and just walking up this valley here, and I stumbled into the first one of the trip here. Small muley chalk, but gets me on the board and rolling here in Montana. I was glassing from that opposite bank there, probably a third of a mile away. It had the right color, so glad I came to see it. It's actually got a few more points than I thought. Broken off there up at the tip. That'll do. Good to see. Walked straight up through this real thick brush here. Didn't see anything on the way up, but covering it on the way on the top side of it, I spotted what appears to be a hard white. Maybe been sitting a couple of years. 5-point shide. Number 3 on day 1. We're running here on the first day, just trying to cover some ground as fast as I can. Seeing the lights going quick, and just got the 4th shed. It's a white elk. Spotted them from about that ridge behind me. It's like last year's shed. 6-point. That was a real easy spot to do. It's a nice shed. Only have about 20 minutes of daylight left, so got some more ground to cover. I only had about 2 hours to walk after the 18 hour drive here from Wisconsin, plus another few hours of bad weather. Put on about 3.5 miles here in a couple hours, and I got 5 sheds in a couple hour time span, so it's a good start to the trip. It's probably last year's shed, probably a 3-year-old muley, I guess. 5-point. We'll see you tomorrow. Day 2 here in Montana. I'm just over 2 miles in. I rode the wheeler up to the top up there and started making my way this way. This is a road I had 26 sheds in one day last year, so spotted a white one. Looks like a 4-point side, year old or so. So on the board, first one on the second day. Just glassed up 3 older sheds, it looks like, from that ridge behind me there. They're down here off to my right. Almost walked onto this little old one. Chewed up a little bit. Yearling, muley. And then just up here is the first one I glassed up. Last year's, maybe the year before. Yearling elk. No, it isn't. It's a busted up muley. Guess I should have taken a closer look at it. Front of the beam's busted off. Just heading over to the second one I glassed up and ran into another old one. Shed number 4 on the day. Another small old muley. Here's the one I glassed up. Another small old muley. And right next to it is older elk shed. Pretty chalky. That is shed number 5 and 6 on the day. Just trying to cover this flat and found another small one. This could be from this year, actually. It's kind of brown. Yearling shed, but shed number 7. Only making it up to this original one I glassed up here down in this valley. And it's older muley, a little bit nicer shed. Pretty chalky. Would have been a nice shed at some point. A little pink on that side. Been there a little while. And I got one more thing to pick up, a small deadhead down the valley that way. This looks like a couple years old. Probably a 3, maybe 4-year-old. Pretty decent deadhead. Wishing I would have brought my backpack now when I dropped down. It's right up there in that valley. I'm headed towards it. Here's shed number 9 on the day. Back side of that ridge where I found all those sheds. And on this side of that ridge is where I found a bunch of browns last year. Not much for fresh winter sign from this year, but just saw some thick stuff up here I could walk through, and I just found one of the most unique sheds I've ever found. Really had to look at it to see if it was even a shed, but it has a base. Been here for a year or two. Look at that thing. That is pretty neat. It'll be tough to top that one for uniqueness. Walking on this flat here. Been a little while since I found a shed. Maybe 4 or 5 minutes ago. Got a muley shed here. Number 11 on the day. Cracked up just a little bit. Probably a couple years old. Probably a 2-year-old deer is what I'd guess. Muley. Walking through this timber here. Let's see what this is. Another older shed. Probably last year's 5-point, 3-year-old I'd guess. Nice shed. Making my way towards this water hole. Way out to on a point that sticks out on BLM, and got another white muley shed here in front of me. Cool beam to it. Probably a 3-year-old. Last year's shed, I'd say. 13. A lot of tiny ones today. Really hoping I run into some elk here soon. Probably last year's shed again. Little yearling. Just climbed up through that thick stuff here, coming up this valley, and was just taking my backpack off to throw on a couple newest sheds into the pack so I don't have to carry them, and spotted another one here. Number 15 on the day. Looks to be cracked up a little bit, older muley, 5-point. Up on that point there, and spotted number 16 on the day here. Over here, this one stuck out like a sore thumb. Pretty white. Guessing another last year's shed, 4-point. Covered up a little bit with grass. Just about halfway down to the bottom, side hilling, and I saw this kind of bench up here, and I thought, you know, I really should be up on this bench. Another old one. Ooh, this one's pretty chalky. 2-point, probably a 2-year-old. Number 18's another white one. Looks like last year's shed. Nice G2 on it. Pretty tall. Probably another 2, maybe a 3-year-old deer. Picked up 18 right there, and 19's right over here. Looks to be the same side though, so decent deer. Another white one. 5-point side. Another probably 3-year-old deer. There's the first elk that I've bumped into. It's actually a bull. He's got a decent amount of growth going on. Looks like he's just past his first brow time there. I think he was bedded down here, so that's a good sign. Haven't really seen a lot of winter sign from this year for elk. It's been pretty dry, so I think they moved somewhere else where it's a lot greener, but he might be, his sheds might be here somewhere. I had actually spotted a white muley shed here is what originally made me start coming down this way. I don't know. It's actually a brown one, I believe. Possibly. No, white one. Shed number 20 on a day. That herd is just slowly feeding down the canyon here. Actually was just glassing them and I see a brown shed pretty much right where they're standing. So I'm gonna keep following them down. Hopefully I can run into some more. Still making my way down to those elk feeding down there. Got an old chalk spike horn. Coming up on shed 22 of the day. Looks like a rag horn. Yellow, white one I should say. A couple years old. It's got some cracks in her 5-point. And here's where that herd was standing. Watched them feed down to the east farther. That was, I think, about 70 elk in that herd. 20 bulls still carrying. So I'm not finding a whole lot of browns, or hardly any. They're all rags and spikes. I actually had to go back and look at the video to see where this brown one was. I went past it at first, a little farther down. Decent 6-point. First brown of the day. I am about 14 miles in. About 9.5 hours of walking so far. Shed number 23 of the day. Better get out of here because I got about 4 miles to go that way to the wheeler. Less than 3 hours to do it, so I better get to walking. Well, unfortunately, I gotta be heading back to the 4-wheeler. I got all of a 3-hour hike back to it, and less than 3 hours of daylight left. Took me all day to find the elk, and now I gotta leave them. Still have 2.5 miles to go. About an hour and a half to do it. Spotted this thing, taking a different route than I've ever taken out of here, so kind of a neat shed. Dang, look at the base on that thing. That is cool. Probably an old buck. 24th shed of the day. Wish I had some other feet right now. They're hurting pretty good. Coming up on shed 25. Sun is setting. Glad it's not any farther down than this. Still got over a mile to go. Chalk muley. It has a base. Old chalk spike elk that's chewed up. 26th shed of the day. Still over a mile out. Half-hour daylight. Oh, I got a new personal record. Just found that spike down there about 100 yards or so. Another small one. Yearling. And has a neat little point there on the bottom. 27 on the day. Second day here in central Montana. Beautiful place. Finally rolling here, day 3 in Montana. Been a slow start to the day. Had 19.5 miles walking yesterday, so not moving real fast. I was up there on that point, glassing down here, and I noticed what appeared to be a G2 with a fork on top of it sticking out of the grass, and finally made my way down to it, and well, not what I thought it was. It's a weird horn. Probably last year's, I'd guess. So, first one of the day. Appears to be a right side off of a muley. So, see what else I can turn up. Dang near walked right on top of these. Glass on the opposite side hill and look down, and here's 2 brown ones. Good color to them. Probably a 2-year-old buck. Well, I just glassed up one for sure over on this side hill. Looks like a white muley. And up there, somewhere around there, I think there's two sheds together. They look like white elk, but I'm not positive. And then, let me see, back there, probably about a half mile away, it looks like there's possibly a brown elk shed. Coming up on that first shed I spotted from behind me. A little checkered up, a little bit bigger than I thought. Been there a little while. Heading up this steep, narrow valley, was about 50 feet up, and I look down and here's a chalk muley, pretty old. Coming up on that white elk shed I glassed up from behind me. I would have swore there was two sheds up here. Must have just looked different. Small 6-point. Glassed this one up as I was taking a closer look at that brown. Brown's just over the hill, 300 more yards or so. White muley, probably 2-year-old buck. Shed number 7 on the day. Finally getting up to the shed I spotted from a ways away. Looks like it's a busted up 6-point. Taking me about an hour and a half to get to him. 70 degrees out today. Glad there's some wind. Cool it down a little bit. Well, here's shed 9. Got a base, really old, really chalky and chewed up, so that one's gonna stay. Just jumped a bull that was bedded over in that brush over there, making my way down to it. It's a chalk muley, pretty old. Number 10 on the day. This is actually right where that bull was bedded that I jumped. He was starting to come up, inch or two out of his head with some velvet. Spot an old horn up here. Elk. Looks pretty chalky. Been here for a while. Glad I came over here now. Ancient horn. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Nice. Got a few bulls feeding towards me right now. They just started growing some velvet. Hopefully some brown sheds are pretty close to there. We'll see in a bit. Crawled up out of this drainage. I was standing over there and looked back here and thought, yeah, that looks like a shed. Put the binos on, it is. Probably last year's elk shed, 5-point side. Here I am, day 4 in Montana. Just been getting into a different area here today. Only have a few hours to walk this afternoon, and got one older shed. Pretty decent shed. Pretty chalky though, but at least I have one for the day. Hours to get till dark, so hopefully I can pick up some more. Spotted a side-by-side elk set down right there. I was actually going to stay back up on top of this flat and make my way out, but noticed them with my bare eyes. I put the glasses on them, and sure enough, it's a side-by-side set, so go see what they are. Well, coming up on it, does not appear to be a set anymore. Appears to be a old deadhead. 6 by... Looks like it had 6 on that side. There's actually a piece broke off here. Been here a long time, and I think I'm gonna be leaving it, unfortunately. Wish they were sheds. Spotted a deer shed and a elk shed from over on that shelf laying here. Deer shed is pretty old. Would have been pretty decent at some point. And then the elk shed is up here. 5-point side. Not a bad shed. Pretty chalky though. A little brown on that backside. Not bad. I believe that was shed 46 and 47 on the trip. So doing all right here. Got an hour to get out of here, so I'll be headed out now. Only had a little bit of time to walk today. Got a decent amount of walk ahead of me yet, so I've been making a lot of ground, covering a lot of ground here in a short amount of time, and walked past this one within about 15 feet. I'm glad I looked back. That's one I really want to take home. Old whitetail, 5-point side. First whitetail of the trip. Probably high 140s, or high 130s, low 140s type deer. Better than nothing today. Just spotted a real nice muley shed. Picked this one up already because I saw it. That thing, that's my biggest muley shed. And I was like, well, I'm gonna look for the other side. And pulled that one out. And I dropped it just like that. And I don't think you can see it. The other side, buried in the grass right there. That is a dandy. Dang, is that cool. Wow. That is a nice muley. Back to shed hunting here in Montana. I've been doing some other things for a couple days. Decided to come back where we normally hunt and spend a little bit more time shed hunting. Really cold and windy today. It's 20 degrees out, and with a wind chill, it's like right around 0. Spotted this one up above the ridge above me. There's a nice antler. Probably last year's muley. Pretty tall G2, G1 I guess. I would have walked within probably 50 yards a year last year, so being brown last year, it would have blended right in. I'm getting into a spot where I found some nice elk last year, so hopefully I can find a couple more here before I head back to Wisconsin. She's really starting to snow now. Not really supposed to get a lot of accumulation, but still don't like the cold. Here's a little deadhead from last year. Forker. I'm just gonna stay out here. It's like the coyotes have chewed them up pretty good already. Starting to question why I'm out here. Visibility is really going down, but my time in Montana is always limited each year, so try to make the most of it while I'm here. And about 200 yards up is looks like a pretty nice 6-point side there. Right up there, so excited to go grab it, get my hands on it. Just never know what you're gonna find around the next hill here in Montana. That's a nice bull. Nice shed. Last year's shed. 6-point. Good reason to keep walking. It's at the point you pretty much have to trip on them right now. I got a few miles to get out of here. And I almost had to on this one. I think this is going to be the last of the trip. The white muley. I think that's 53 on the trip, so not too bad. Cannot stress how important onX is, especially right now. I just measured a couple ways out the road. About 1.93 miles as a crow flies is the closest point to it. So probably got all of 2.5. Without onX, visibility is about a quarter mile right now. I've been going down and getting a little bit out of the wind here, but I can't really tell which direction I'm going. With using the pointer there on the app, tell which direction I'm facing and which ridge line to take out. I use it a ton when I'm scoping out different places where to go up and look for sheds, but right now it's really saving me probably a lot of extra walking. So can't wait to get in the truck.